Call to order the September 7, 2017 meeting of the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. Our public announcement, please.
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. Copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and Planning Department staff reports on all agenda items are available on the counter in the lobby of this conference room. The Planning Commission's bylaws limit the applicant on a zoning or subdivision application and his or her representative to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the Commission may extend these times by a majority vote. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please write your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the lobby. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. Please note that all written and visual materials you present to the Commission will be retained by the Secretary as part of the official record. If you are not speaking, but you wish to be notified about future proceedings on a particular case, please sign in on that same sheet. The Planning Commission is interested in hearing the views of all persons who wish to express themselves on the agenda items. However, we ask that all speakers please be as concise as possible and avoid long repetitions of facts or opinions which have already been stated. For your information, the Wichita City Council has adopted a policy for all city zoning items. A copy of this policy is available in the lobby. The City Council relies on a written record of the Planning Commission hearings and does not conduct their own additional public hearings on these items.
Number 1 on our agenda is the nomination and election of a committee chairman and a vice chairman. And before we undertake that, I just want to say thank you to all the commissioners. It's been an honor and a privilege to have served as your chairman this past year, and I do appreciate it, as well as to Planning Department staff, especially our, beyond that, our legal, both city and county staff, and the other staff members that help this whole process work. My thanks to you all for your efforts.
And I just wanted to say that we really appreciate your efforts, because I think you made every meeting, because I don't think I substituted for one time. So thank you very much for your service.
Thank you. Okay, I will open the floor we'll begin with the chairman. I'll open that for nomination. And I should clarify that it does need to be someone who has been appointed or as a county appointee. And if you guys want to raise your hands on the county appointees, Joe Johnson, Mr. Blick, Mr. Duell, Mr. Daly, and Mr. Bill Johnson.
I would nominate Mr. Joe Johnson.
Second.
We have a nomination for Mr. Joe Johnson by Mr. Richardson, second by Mr. McKay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
Did you vote for yourself?
Abstain.
Motion carries 11-0-1. Let's go ahead and entertain a motion on a vice chair. And I understand on vice chair, whether it's city or county, I don't know that matters, but alternate?
So, yeah.
Okay.
So,
we'd be looking for a city person then.
and I'd like to nominate David Foster to serve as as vice chair, And I checked with Dale Miller, and he said there wasn't anything in the bylaws about you couldn't serve as as the vice chair. And if you're willing to serve, I'd like to nominate you.
Well, I'm all for fresh leadership, so I would be certainly willing to serve, but if there is another nomination, I think we should entertain that.
I'd like
Yes.
to nominate Cindy Miles.
Look,
I'd like to nominate Cindy Miles.
we have a nomination of Ms. Miles by Mr. McKay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Dool. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I
Motion
abstain.
carries 11-0-1. I think we will shuffle the chairs now. And
Oh, we have to do it right now?
yeah.
Yes.
You're in charge. I don't get an orientation?
Good thing you showed up. Good thing you showed up today.
No, I didn't get to do it. Remember? Okay,
Joe, I'd like to say something. The reason I nominated Cindy ran the committee that did the advanced plans, did a comprehensive plan, did a great job. So that's a good job. Organization, that's why I nominated.
I would second that comment,
Thank you, John.
because I served on it as well. Okay, the first item is item 2017-00028. No, I'm sorry, 00014. Oh, we have to do the minutes. Okay. We have a motion on the
I move to
minutes.
approve the minutes. Second.
Okay.
The
Who
July
who do we
20th.
have abstaining?
Mr. Dool and Mr. Warren would be abstaining, is what I've got.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, consideration of subdivision committee recommendations. And subdivision 2016-00014. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to hear that one? Seeing none, anyone on the commission would like to hear that one? Okay.
How come you didn't look at me? Never mind.
Okay, we'll take.
You're at a coffee bed.
3-2, subdivision 2017-00028, a one-step final plat on Armour Edition. Anybody in the audience like to hear that one? Seeing none, anyone on the commission would like to hear that one? Okay. 3-3, subdivision 2017-00033, one-step final plat for the Sandcrest Third Edition. Anybody in the audience want to hear that? Anybody on the commission? Okay. We have some vacation items, but first, let's go ahead and have a motion. Sorry.
I move we approve items 3-1, 3-2, and 3-3.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, who was the second?
Cindy Miles. Okay, item number 4, public hearing, vacation items. Vacation item 2017-00020, city vacation of a 20-foot alley. Anybody in the audience would like to hear that vacation item? Seeing none, anybody in the commission? We'll take that. Item 4.2, vacation item 2017-00027, city vacation of a platted 35-foot setback for an attached 2-car garage. Anybody in the audience like to hear that item? Anybody in the commission?
Which one?
4.2.
4-1.
Oh.
Yes, I am. I will, yeah, I'll excuse myself.
It's already been designated for consent, but
Okay, we'll take that one first. 4-1, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion maker in the second, that'd be great.
I'll try to do that, sir. Thank
Who
you.
do we get here? Richardson and,
Okay, on 4-2, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got those? Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, our first public hearing item is case number, it's a zoning 2017-00035.
Oh, just a second. Because I had to abstain, do we need to take those separately?
We
Okay,
did,
I'm sorry. I
yeah,
wasn't-
I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, I'm sorry. I wouldn't.
Okay. Anybody in the audience like to hear case number 2017? Okay.
I wanted to hear it as well.
Okay. So we'll hear item 2017-00027. Can we have the presentation by staff?
Isn't it 35?
35.
I'm sorry, 35. I'm getting surgery.
It's okay, you're
Getting surgery on that.
first day on the job.
Have a lot of help, that's good.
Good afternoon. My name is Kyle Kobe, Associate Planner. Zone 2017-35. The request is to rezone this parcel from SF20 Single Family to LC Limited Commercial. Can you hear me better now? This is on 1.069 acres. It's located just here on the west side of South Broadway Avenue and south of East Nicole Street. The applicant is requesting this zone change to allow for an auto repair business. I think we have some things pointed out here in the staff report as far as how the business will be run. 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 2 employees. The type of services they'll be doing are brakes, shocks, oil changes, bearings, engines, transmissions, radiators, and other minor repairs. The proposed disposal of hazardous materials will be going into a barrel that will be picked up on site. So you can see on here that the zoning in the immediate surrounding area is SF20, although farther to the south and then just off screen here to the north, there is commercial zoning that's already in place there. So here's an aerial view of the property. It's right here. And this is to show that this property is located within the Hayesville area of influence, although it is not currently in the city of Hayesville city limits. So it is currently in unincorporated county land right now. So here's some images from on the ground. This is the site right to the north of it. This is looking down Nicole Street right here. You can see that there's already some screening type elements here. This is from the same position, just looking across the street. This is looking more directly onto the property from that intersection right there. This is looking south, so the property is right over here. This is from right in front of the property looking across the street, across Broadway. This is Broadway. And this is looking directly south from the driveway, right in here, and you can see that there's a lot of tree cover here. Here are some land use scenario alternatives that were looked at when WAMPO and the city of Hayesville were, they did a corridor study of the South Broadway. These are the various alternatives. This would be in line with a few of these alternatives. The one that was ultimately selected was this alternative 2 here, though you can see that there's a lot of commercial that was considered at the time. And in addition to that, when I called the city of Hayesville and asked for their opinion on this, they were in support of it. So, which we took into account quite a bit because it is within their area of influence. If there's any questions?
Questions for the presenter? Yes.
Can you point out the subject property on each of those WAMPO scenarios there?
I can. So, I wish this hand got a little bit smaller. So it's right where you see this street right here. This is Nicole that runs right here. So it's right there underneath of the index finger.
And so that proposal is for no commercial on the west side of the street? Am I reading that correctly?
Correct. Yeah, this would be for residential on this side.
All right.
So then alternative 2, although it does have commercial all along this stretch here, as well as industrial back here. And then here, right under where the index finger is, there at that corner. So this is marked for residential as well, with these commercial nodes, as you can see.
And that's the preferred option?
This
Is
was
that
the
what
one that was selected, yeah.
And that gets selected by whom?
I'm not certain of the process that went through. I believe that was chosen by the city of Hayesville, and it was agreed upon between WAMPO and the city of Hayesville. And I think that there might have been, I think in the attachments to the staff report, there was an excerpt from the city of Hayesville's land use plan as well that reflects this.
Yeah, it reflects that particular one.
Reflects this same kind of-
Yeah, what wasn't included were the other two options, so go ahead.
So then down here on the third alternative, it would be right again underneath of where the index finger of the hand is, right there at that corner.
So if we go from 1 to 3, 1 would be more restrictive as to commercial zoning, 2 mixes it on both sides, and 3 is commercial zoning on both sides all the way. Is that
Correct.
a fair
Yep.
characterization here?
Yes. So this was, I chose this to kind of just tell the background of when the study was going on. All of these were considered, and commercial was very heavily considered along South Broadway at the time. They did wind up going with alternative 2, but and again, in conjunction with what I was told by the staff in the city of Hayesville, they are in favor of the zone change.
So maybe somebody else on the staff can enlighten me about the process for this to be approved. Is this Hayesville's approval? Is it the county that approves it? Is it just an idea?
In terms of the map or this case?
I'm sorry, the maps.
Well,
The number 2 alternative that was selected by somebody.
I'm assuming that's what Hayesville adopted as part of their comprehensive plan, but I don't know that for a fact.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
This particular plan was a joint project of the city of Hayesville and WAMPO, and it was the city of Hayesville that adopted the final plan and apparently ultimately then incorporated it into their comprehensive plan as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to understand, if you can go back to the photographs, I'd like to understand better how this 2-car garage structure is going to relate to the principal structure.
That might be something that the applicant can speak a little bit more to as far as the siting of everything, and the applicant is here.
I think what I'm relating that to is that it mentions the services on site will be such and such, but I think we need to have a concern that the services would be within an enclosed structure.
Yes, that's one of the stipulations. The limited commercial zoning, what's going on here? The limited commercial zoning stipulates that the services have to be conducted indoors. There's no outdoor services that can be done.
Okay, thank you.
Another question, Jim? Since this is in the county, will there be any requirement for paved parking here at all?
Don't know that there's, Scott, if that's.
It does not require paid parking in the county.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I've got a question. How many vehicles can they park outside of their, on the property itself?
That are being services can't happen outdoors. As far as like their own vehicles, it would be, there's two employees that they have said would be there. They would be able to park there, and if somebody was coming by to park their vehicle there as well. But they wouldn't be able to have a fleet of vehicles stationed
So
outside.
no storage on site of vehicles?
Yeah, it's not for vehicle storage.
Well, there's a clarification. Limited commercial prohibits outside storage of vehicles, which means if a vehicle sits there for 72 hours, it's considered to be stored. But if it's less than 72 hours, it could sit outside. They could be working on it outside unless the conditional use or a PO is attached. If this is just a straight zone change, unless there's a protective overlay prohibiting the repair of vehicles outside, LC doesn't do that by itself. Like a typical gas station here in Wichita, they could have the vehicle sit out and change tires and do minor stuff, just like you could in LC. But they would not be able to store vehicles outside for more than 72 hours because LC doesn't allow it, except unless it's screened and then for a limited amount of time. But if the repair of vehicles outside is an issue, you'd want to attach a PO.
So what you're saying is that if 4 or 5 people were lined up to have service, they certainly get park outside.
Yes.
As long as it was less than 72 hours.
Yes.
That's the question I had.
Okay.
Are there screening requirements for this property?
There would need to screen it against the other residential uses that are to the west and south. And that's that's listed here in the staff report as well.
That consists of a wood fence?
Wood fence there would be a fence screening, or they could maybe substitute with like a landscape plan of some kind. I think that a fence would probably be, is the most common type of screening with that.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll go to the audience. Anyone in the audience like to speak on this case? Applicant. Would the applicant like to come forward and talk about this?
Yeah.
Good. Please come to the podium. Please state your name and address.
I'm Tanya Swafford. My address is 2126 West Columbine. This property belongs to my mother, Patsy Baston. The reason why we're doing this is just extra income for Mom. The person that we have renting the property right now, he wants to open up a automobile service, just doing, brakes, just like we listed and everything. There is a slab already poured for an office and a bathroom. It's already ready just to be built up. The slab was built I'd say about 15 years ago. And it's 16 by 32, I believe. So what we got told is he's going to be doing all the work in the garage, and the cars will be picked up as they get done. So, but we didn't realize the 72 hours deal, so we'll definitely have to let him know that if that's the case.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, we're just crossing our fingers and seeing what you guys say today.
Any questions from the commission?
Are you in agreement with the screening, the fencing, and so forth, those recommendations?
Okay.
You understand those and agree to those?
Yeah, I totally understand that. We had a feeling that would have to be it to park the cars, to hide the cars and stuff as he gets them done, or as they get dropped off, so the public or the residents wouldn't see it and stuff. Yeah. But we just didn't know what the timeline of for all this to be done, though.
We have a clarification that needs to be made by Mr. Miller.
Yeah, apparently the definition of vehicle repair limited specifically says repairs have to be done inside. Been doing this for 30 years and see all these stuff outside, but apparently it's not legal.
Gives you something to do.
Is that something you can live with?
Well, it's what he can live with. I mean, he does it or he has to move on. I mean,
Okay.
that's the reality of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Richardson,
I have another
just a
question.
moment.
There's already a garage on the property.
Yeah, that's been
Is
there.
that the garage that he's planning to do the work in, and then he would add an office and a bathroom to that?
The office is going to be added onto the front. That's where the slab's already poured. Yes, and the garage is a little bigger than a two-car garage. It's like a little add-on on the side. Well, it's the car is overextended two-car garage. Is that? So yeah. So he has plenty of room to do cars in there. As I said, we just need a timeline for the fence and the garage to be built.
Any other questions for the applicant from the commission? Did I get that right? Okay. All right, thank you. Now, anyone from the audience like to speak on this? You have 3 minutes. Please come forward and state your name and address. And speak up, because I don't have my hearing aids in today.
Okay. My name's Barbara Parker. I live at 130 East Nicole, about 3 houses down from this property. I am opposed to this. Anybody that has a residential street they live on, would you want an automotive shop 3 doors down? It's an eyesore right now. We already have high crime in the area. I don't think this is something that we need, and I don't think, we're in Sedgwick County, and when I first moved there, we were Wichita address. We only got annexed by Hayesville because of our postal route. Other than that, I think that the county should be more involved in it and notice that we bought that property because of it was in the county. We didn't want to be by any businesses. There's a church, if you want to call that a business, but it's not something like this. So I hope you take that in consideration, that if it was you.
I have a question.
Yes.
You stated this is an eyesore already.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, because there are multiple cars already parked there. There's traffic in and out all the time. There are numerous individuals that I don't feel comfortable seeing around there because we already have a high crime rate. And I'm very concerned about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for?
I'd like clarification
Foster.
as to whether this is in the county or whether it's attached to Hayesville.
Right now, my understanding is that it is in the county. It is just, so it is still in the county as of right now, but it's within the area where the Hayesville expansion is expected to project out to.
Or their sphere of influence.
Is that the urban growth area?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is, okay. In the light blue is the urban, the dark blue is the city limits, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So am I correct in assuming that this will go before the county commission? No matter what our determination is?
Correct.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience would like to speak? You have 3 minutes. Seeing no one else, we'll bring it back to the, what?
Rebuttal.
We'll bring it back for rebuttal. Would you like to, would the applicant like to come forward and?
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Just to point out, there is other businesses. Mom's at 200, and right behind Mom, there is a business on, what is it, Kirby? What is that street? Kirby? And there's one across the street on the other side of Broadway in that little turn, the little turn deal. What is that road, Mom?
The cul-de-sac area?
Yeah. So,
These are home occupational businesses?
one on Kirby is a business. I mean, they build a building and the whole 9 yards. There is a business behind there. So, and then there's one, they're running a car deal around in that cul-de-sac deal. So, I don't know.
Would you
So
like to,
there is businesses coming out there. I don't know if they went through the deal of getting it changed, but there is businesses out there.
One is a car dealership. What are the other businesses?
Mom, what is the one behind you? Doesn't he deal with cars? The one directly behind you. I think so, yeah.
It deals with cars, like sells them.
No, does automobile service.
Okay. My concern is just noise because of the area that I personally live in, and there's a couple of people that run different shops, and they revving engines at all hours of the day and night, and so.
Well, he's only going to work until 10 o'clock. Or not, sorry. Gets there at 10, closes at 7. So,
any,
I got a staff question.
okay, we have, Mr. Richardson.
So on the map there, a block north, is that neighborhood office? What
Correct.
is that square there?
That's what neighborhood office.
So we have on the map, no retail till we get down to the red at the bottom. Is that right?
As far as the zoning is concerned, yes.
As far as it's concerned today? Okay.
Retail, you say?
Well, I'm sorry, no limited, no commercial zoning.
Right, this
from-
reflects what the zoning map shows right now.
That's what it is today. Okay. Which would obviously reflect the uses that are in there. So we have neighborhood office and that's all at this point.
At this point.
Thank you.
Legally.
Yeah.
Legal.
You have a question?
And just a comment, just that this is a little bit of a Wild West area. There are a lot of people doing stuff that didn't go through the process like these folks have done. That says that we want to obey the rules, we want to follow the rules, we want to go through the process. So they're following the rules, trying to do it the right way. They're not, there's a lot of people out there that are just, they're in the county, they're out, there's a lot of people just do what they want and would never take the time to go through this process.
Anything else? Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Foster?
This reminds me of a case we looked at when Mr. Mitchell was on the commission, and he wisely pointed out that this is spot zoning. And, that other case I mentioned, it was clear, and this is what this strikes me as. If you look at this from a map standpoint, it's spot zoning. So I have two thoughts. One is, from a staff standpoint, what can be done to either restrict the time limit on this particular business or ensure that all these conditions are met for the screening, including the fencing? What can be done so that this is not going to be detrimental to a residential neighborhood?
Well, as far as the hours of operation, that would have to be a protective overlay item. The other basic zoning stuff would be through the standard enforcement. They're not going to get a completed conditional use until everything's in place, and that is the standard requirement. The one thing I would add is it's entirely possible that if they're repairing vehicles, that is a permitted rural residential home occupation. The issue with this is they don't have a primary structure, so this site is not eligible for a home occupation. But if those other sites have principal structures with accessory buildings, then vehicle repair would be a permitted use without going through rezoning or a conditional use or some sort of public hearing process for whatever that's worth.
The second item then is I'll offer a substitute motion to disapprove the request. Because long-term, I don't think it is in the steps towards improving the neighborhood there. Without a principal structure, I'm not seeing how this works well.
I'd second that motion.
Okay, we have a substitute motion and a second. Any more discussion, Mr. Johnson? Mr. Bill Johnson?
Basically, this is right on 81 highway. Noise, there's probably plenty of noise. There's a lot of truck traffic and a little bit of everything else right in front of this spot. If you drive from here clear to the casino, you see everything imaginable in businesses that are probably non-conforming. So the way we've left it, I don't see where any of it's improved itself. So I'm going to support the original motion to approve.
Anybody want to speak on the substitute motion?
I'm going to withdraw the substitute motion and hope the second will as well, because frankly, if this is the only hope for improvement is to truly follow the regulations, then I have to agree with Mr. Johnson here on that. So I'm going to withdraw the substitute motion.
Who's second?
Did. I'll withdraw it.
Okay, okay. So we're back to the original motion to approve. We had a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
For the opposed.
We had 3
Four.
opposed, 4. And so it'd be 8-4.
Tell me who they are. I didn't catch them all. Hiles, Richardson, Foster, and Johnson. Okay.
8-4, it passed. 9-4. Oh, that's right. You got here. I'm sorry. Okay. So that concludes our public hearing business. At this time, we're going to take up some non-public hearing items. What? We have a motion to close the meeting. Who was that, Mr. Daly? Oh, Mr. McKay, and who seconded? Mr. Green. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So now we're in a non-public